you had the thrill of going away for a couple of World Cups. What were the biggest highlights for you in terms of your own cricketing career?
Playing your first game, the one I just mentioned at Adelaide Oval, walking out green and gold for the first time was a huge thrill. Playing my first game with Brett, I think Brett and I played 18 games for Australia together. I don't think we lost one either when we played together, which was really, really a great effort. And then the '99 World Cup, even though I didn't play in the final, I think I was 12th man, 13th man with Damien Martin and Brendan Julian, just being part of that team. And I remember Ricky Ponting would lead the team song there, and we went out to middle of Lords after we'd won. You mentioned the Rolling Stones before. They were in the change room. The wives and girlfriends were in there. We celebrated, but we went out just as a team in the middle of Lords, the home of cricket, when it was dark at about midnight, and Ricky Ponting got on Tom Moody's shoulders and did the team song, which is now underneath the Southern Cross I stand, a sprig of wattle in my hand, a native of a native land, Australia, you bloody beauty. Second verse, same as the first. And it goes on. And for me, I get goosebumps when I tell that story. It's a very, very special memory.
Well, speaking of you bloody beauty and goosebumps, it's 25 years almost 25 years since your brother debuted against India at the MCG in Test cricket in Boxing Day. That memory for you, how does that fit for you in terms of Brett playing on such a stage in Test cricket?
It's very, very vivid in my memory. I went down with two good mates of mine, a guy called Andrew Yates and Craig Hughes, and to watch the match. We stayed in Melbourne. We were there when he bowled his first over. He got a wicket first over. So, look, very, very proud of him that day. He did so well. The funny memory from that, Brett had tried to put some highlights in his hair to blonde his hair up a little bit. I think to probably impress the young ladies back then. But his hair turned orange, slightly orange. So we give a bit of stick about that every now and then.
I'm still envious of it, though. At least he's got it, and he's still got that fine mop of hair himself. As someone who loved one day, as someone who loved one-day cricket, there's been a bit of chatter over the last week about whether or not we've devalued the game a little bit in Australia, based on, I suppose, a result in Perth where Australia was well beaten by Pakistan to squander the series at home. They are the reigning world champions, and we have a crowded calendar with the Border Gavaskar Trophy around the corner, the ICC Champions Tour next February. What are your thoughts on where it sits in modern cricket, the ODIs?
Well, that's a really good question, and I'm really torn with this answer because it's the game that gave me the opportunity. It's the thing that bought my house, so I'm pretty proud of playing for Australia in that format. Saying that, these players now, the schedule is so busy. They have so many games. You need to manage how many games you can play so they don't burn themselves out and have to be right for the big matches. But when I see a real second-string team, and taking nothing away from the players playing in those matches, but it's not the number one side. It's I think as a spectator when you go along, you're quite slightly disappointed because you pay your money for the ticket and you want to see the best players play. And I don't think we saw that in the recent games.
Do we look at different teams, obviously, and we have those champion players, and you've seen them as much as any coming through. Do we risk losing a little bit of momentum, or is it a completely different thing when they step out in Perth on Thursday week for the Border Gavaskar Trophy? And what are you looking forward to from that series?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic series. I think there's going to be a bit of spice in this series, definitely with the ball tampering issues in and around the India A team. And particularly where Ricky Ponting's now come out and he's given it to Kohli. Bad move, Ricky. What are you doing, mate? You're going to fire that guy up. He's a world-class player, and he will fire up out here. But very, very different teams. Lots of experience. We have a world-class attack. Stark, Cummings, Hazelwood, and Lyon. Come on. Doesn't get much better than that. And they'll bowl well. Our batting is fragile. I think it's probably one of the weaker batting lineups I've seen for Australian Test side in a while. McSween's going to come in. He's under pressure. He's never batted as an opener. I think that's a specialist position. Khawaja is the standout for me at the moment. He's going to play really, really well. But Labuschagne, I think, has been out of form for quite a while, as has Steve Smith. And then obviously you've got Marsh batting at 6. So and Head probably the other standout as well. So, Head and Usman Khawaja, I think, will play well. But some question marks over how the other guys are going to go this series.
As a young cricketer coming in now, Nathan's 25. You come in, you talk about the match in Adelaide in the ODI when you come out. What are the emotions you go through in the 24 hours before you make your debut for Australia, and what can we expect from him? We've seen him excel at number 3 over the last 12 or so months for South Australia, for Australia A. Made 39 in 2 knocks at the MCG this week. Do you sleep at all? Do you need to talk to someone? I guess you weren't flicking text back in the day, but what do you do when you're about to play for Australia in that 24 hours before the first ball has been held?
Well, you tell yourself, listen, it's just another game. Go through your routine. Don't change anything different. The reason you got there is the reason you're playing well, so you're good enough and you've earned your spot. You say all those things to yourself, but it's really, really difficult because it is hard to sleep. When you walk out there, particularly if Australia wins the toss and bats, and he walks out onto that ground in Perth with hopefully a full Australian crowd there, he's going to know that he's up for a fight. And Bumrah's going to take the new ball. Mate, he's going to be on his toes. He looks like a very, very well-organised player. But like a lot of players that have sort of been brought up with T20 cricket, they sort of stay inside the ball a bit. So chances are they could nick off quite a bit. So we'll have to wait and see. But I hope he does really, really well. He seems like a really good, decent sort of bloke. He's worked hard to get there. Come with the hour, come with the man, hopefully.
I'll put you on your toes. Prediction for the series?
I think Australia, to do well, I think they'll maybe draw the series. I think it might be 2-2. I think there would be one draw. But you have to play well. If our batting gets some holes in it, I don't really know who's next in. The thing that we had in the past, particularly through the 90s and 2000s, we always had 2 or 3 guys really just sort of chomping at the bit to take someone's batting position. I can't see that right now. I think they've tried Harris. I don't think he's the answer. Bancroft, I think they should have picked him 2 years ago, but they didn't do that. So he must really can't work out where he stands now. So, it's going to come to our batting and how well we can handle pressure, particularly when Bumrah and their pace attack are steaming in, when the wicket's doing a little bit.
Well, look, Shane, I really appreciate you joining us ahead of a big summer for yourself. I think you've got a gig at the Campfield in near Optus Stadium next Thursday night.
Yes.
Really looking forward to watching 6 and Out, the second innings, the docu-series on Fox Sports and KO Sports from next Monday. Absolute pleasure to have you aboard.
Thanks, guys, and thanks to Fox Sports too. They've been fantastic. It's a great broadcast. I can't wait for the summer of cricket. And go the Aussies. Come on, we can do this.